everybody. Welcome back to Meet the Band. I'm your host, the BMD, on Rogers Television. One of my favorite parts of the show, we're doing Scott's Corner, and that sharp-dressed guy you're looking at in front of me is Scott Templeton. Maybe you can just stand up briefly and see that exotic shirt. Wow, look at that one. Holy Hannaberg. You know what I was thinking? Maybe we should start auctioning these off as a show-worn shirt. That's a beauty. Listen, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. You're smiling. Has it been a good week or a couple of weeks at Blackrose Entertainment?
Well, like I said, we start July and August. We slow down a bit. We had the last waltz up in Perry Sound. Did a great show, great response. People loved the show. It's as you know, the band, the last waltz does a celebration of the band, and the it was their first time up in Perry Sound. The people loved it. We got a great response for that show, and it is their 50th anniversary this year from when the band started. We just finished last night. We had Elvis at the Regent Theater, which was August 22nd, doing his 68 special and the Aloha show. It was a sellout. It was a beaut. We were competing against Cars on King, and I think we did all right.
And, you jumped in, which is fine. I wanted to know on what Scott think, our new segment. You told me about the waltz and Elvis. Any more your opinion on the shows that went good?
Wow, you know what? You've been to a few of the Elvis shows.
Yeah.
You know what? The man is an amazing artist, Steve Michaels. He puts on a great performance. People left last night. We were watching them leave. They were happy. They were really glad that they went. I asked a question out to the audience when I did the MC at the start, if they want to see more shows from Blackrose during July and August. It was a complete positive response. So I'm going to talk to the Regent Theater and see what we can do and get some more shows in Oshawa.
Excellent. Well, you're always a community innovator too. So let's talk about any new signings that are coming, or can you tease us with negotiations at all?
Well, we are working on a couple. We're looking at both bringing back David Wilcox and Kim Mitchell. So those will be later one's in September this year, and the other one will be probably Family Day weekend, sitting around the 13th of February.
Okay.
So that's an exciting move. I've already put in a request, which I'll say, Gowan. We're looking at 2 shows at the Regent Theater, back to back. So that always depends on his Styx concerts, where he has to go and perform in those. So we try to get an open spot, but he wants to come back to the Regent Theater, and he was from what I heard, he was quite happy with Blackrose Entertainment bringing him back.
It was outstanding. I was at one of the shows. What about what's new? What's coming up? September, October, November, getting into the new year. I know you're booked into the new year. Can you get a new schedule?
Yeah, this September coming up. We have Paul Anthony, obviously, the show that we decided to go forward with. I like his show because it's different than most Johnny Cash shows, right? Everybody tries to be Johnny Cash, but you can't. You just, you promote that music of Johnny Cash and, everything that Paul said during the interview. If you look at that show on September 12th, and he was right, actually, somewhere around there will be some specials coming up to really promote that show. But the biggest thing is I'm calling it the Jersey Nights, the Frankie Valli Tribute Month in September, because from September 18th through to September 26th, we have Jersey Nights in Cornwall, Jersey Nights in Sarnia, and Jersey Nights in Chatham. So we have them spread out across Ontario. And trust me, it spills over into October because we're back in Cornwall with Greece and Guelph with Greece and Greece and Peterborough. It is a full schedule for those shows. Everybody just loves Jersey Nights, Frankie Valley, and the Four Season and the Greece show.
So, what about? Are you opening up new venue? I heard you say Cornwall. I haven't.
Well, Cornwall is Altsville Theater. Um, we were there last year, but we have a few shows. I think we have about 6 shows going in this year.
And how do the Cornwall people feel about Blackrose
Um,
Entertainment? They're
they,
enjoying it.
they love the shows. You know what? We rarely get any bad feedback from people because people just love it. They like our price point and everything else because it makes it easier and a little cheaper for them. Not cheaper, affordable for
Yeah.
them to go out. Come to a show and go for dinner.
And
So
any other new venues you're looking at?
no, not at this time. We're going to try and stick to the ones that we have. We're just working on securing a whole bunch of dates in Meaford. We just secured, I believe it is 19 dates in Midland to fill. So for 2027, so we're moving some of the newer shows in. Like we have a Boston, Kansas tribute that's coming up at the
Interesting.
Regent Theater, and we're going to move that one into Meaford and Midland. So
You had mentioned last time we chatted that you were doing a new concept about, I'm going to say one off, if that triggers your mind again. You were going to be, I don't know, negotiating with bands that were one offs or get them. Can you expand on that one? Because it was only a short chat last time.
yeah, there's a few bands out there like the Boston, Kansas brand new. So that's like a one off right now, but we are spreading it around. Um, Other one offs like when you're trying to get bands like uh, the Northern Pikes and different things like that. I'm
Yes,
trying to catch them when you get them going to Falls View and Casino Rama, and it's nice. They have a day off or something. They like to play, and they go to the smaller theaters and
yes,
perform there. So I'm keeping my eyes out open all the time for shows like that. That way we get a good mixture of tribute and original artists at the theater because I mean, the tribute market is saturated right now.
yes.
It became saturated right after COVID, but that's why we're mixing it up and trying to bring in original artists.
Interesting. Final question. Can you talk a little bit about your politics, not politics, but your political move? How's that going? What do you say? What do you know about that?
Well, it's actually been pretty good. We're excited about the direction we're heading. Um, I think we have a pretty good shot at. I'm hoping to get elected. Um, There's been a lot of people coming out helping us deliver flyers and knock on doors. We did a mail out introducing myself to people, which was great. Uh, and now I've gone and done a distribution to all the doors. Starting in about a week or two, I will be knocking. Starting in September, I'll be knocking on doors now. This will be my third time at your door. So I'm starting to feel like a relative, and I should be getting dinner when I get there.
Very
But
good.
but it's been but it's been super busy. Um, it's exciting. I'm meeting people on the road, people at their houses and everything else. They're excited for me. They're excited for the direction that I want to see Whippy go.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they're excited also to know that there's people out there that want to work together. And, instead of having these divides all over council, you want people that work together to make
Yes.
our Whippy a better place to live. Um, you know, like you said, you never want to work. you know, um, there's a lot of people out there that are concerned. and mostly about safety. And I direct them in the right direction when I'm at the door to go to the Durham, because if they don't report a crime, the crime doesn't get added to a data list. And um, the more crimes, well, I don't want to say it, the more crime, hopefully there's less, but
Yeah.
the more that are reported, there's a better understanding of the police where the crimes are happening, what time they're happening, and everything else. And it's easier to monitor certain areas in Whitby when this is happening.
Let's get in your social IDs if people want to connect with you, sir.
All right. You want to connect with Blackrose, go to blackroseentertainment.ca, Blackrose Entertainment Canada on Facebook.
Hey folks, the BMD here on my show, Meet the Band. If you or your group would like to be a guest on the show, email us at thebmdpodcast@gmail.com. See you then. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, the BMD, on, of course, Meet the Band on Rogers Television Network. And we are behind the scenes on a Zoom call today with a Johnny Cash tribute artist, Paul Anthony. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show. Glad you took the time to be with us.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Scott, for putting this together. And we're always excited to do shows with Scott. And the theater in Oshawa, the region, is just a most amazing theater. So we're real happy to be there and to deliver the stories and the music of Johnny Cash.
Very good. Sticking with Scott, I want to tell us about your relationship with Blackrose Entertainment with Scott and his wife, Chris. How did that happen, and where did you get together, meet, or how long's the relationship been?
I'm going to say probably 10 years. Scott can maybe correct me on that. And Scott was interested in our show and what we have to offer. You know, I'm not an impersonator. I don't dress up to look like John. I don't pretend I'm John. I'm a sincere tribute artist that's friends with the Cash family, and do my best to deliver John's musical stories and music with authenticity, and doing it for the right reasons.
Interestingly enough, studying your bio the past couple of days, getting ready for the show, I know you mentioned, or a byline in your biop was mentioned about you were down visiting the Cash family invited to Johnny Cash's studio, I believe, in Tennessee. Can you tell us about that incident? You had mentioned you were friends with the Cash family. Please enlighten us.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you can kind of see that, but that's the recording that we did at Cash Cabin in Hendersonville, Tennessee, Johnny Cash's private studio. So it all started back where John performed his last show on the little stage in Hickman County, which is about a mile down the road from his farmhouse. So when John wasn't on the road gigging, he would gather with his friends like Roy Orbison and those folks that lived close to him in his area in Hendersonville, and they would gather Saturday nights in Hickman County at a little venue, and they would have jam sessions, or what they would call guitar pulls at the time. And of course, John passed away, and that building kind of collapsed, and the walls were falling in on one another. And a fellow by the name of Brian Oxley come from Japan and bought that property and kind of wanted to rebuild the whole Johnny Cash storyline and Saturday Night in Hickman County. And Tommy Cash, Johnny's brother, was involved with the rebuilding of this venue, along with Mark Cash, Tommy's son. They had Tommy search the world over and try to find someone who was a sincere Johnny Cash tribute artist. So Mark Cash stumbled across me, and he placed a phone call to me and asked if I'd be happy to come and reopen, re-grand open this little stage in Hickman County. So I gladly accepted. The pay wasn't great. It was $75, US, I might say. But for me, it had nothing to do with the money. It had everything to do with being on that little stage that John last performed on, and then I was granted the opportunity to perform on that very stage on the grand opening of that little stage in Hickman County, and then from there we went down the road and did a recording of an acoustic recording of Hurt in the chair that John did the Hurt video in at John's farmhouse just down the road in Hickman County, in a little town called Bon Aqua. So for me, that was a big blessing, and then of course I was invited by John Carter to come and do a record of his dad's music, and I was blessed also to do this recording with Johnny Cash's remaining musicians, Dave Rowe and W.S. Fluke Holland, and on the rhythm guitar was Chris Scruggs from the Scruggs family, and on electric guitar was cousin Kenny Vaughan, who was Marty Stewart's guitar player, and of course you probably know who Marty Stewart is.
Yes.
He was married to Cindy, one of John's daughters, at one time, and played with John. So real fortunate to do that, and then of course following that toured with W.S. Holland, and just had a lovely journey with the family, and become good friends with Tara and Cindy and Kathy Cash, and it's been a real blessing for me. That's kind of the synopsis.
So quite a story, quite excitement for a career situation. How are you with the Cash family members now? How do you stay in contact, or do you get invited down and play?
I would say that Tara has kind of backed off from her dad's stuff to take a bit of a Johnny Cash break, so she's kind of relaxed. But Tara's done a wonderful job at writing a book about her dad, and Cindy I'm in contact with steadily, and Kathy as well. I would say Cindy and I correspond more than anyone at this point. Of course, W.S. Holland was 2 or 3 times a week. He'd call me and say, "Paul, it's W.S. Holland, just to let you know I'm still unemployed." Well, he always wanted to continue to work because that was his passion, that was his love. Dave Rowe I don't speak to anymore because he's also passed away as well as W.S. Holland. So there's no one left anymore.
I hear you. Good stories. Listen, let's get into you. You're our guest today. Can we go right back to your background, how you became before us today, other than the obvious? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm 65 now, born in 1960 in a little town called Hamilton, Ontario. I currently live in Mount Hope, which by the Hamilton Airport, nice little farm area. I grew up, my father played guitar, so we grew up playing guitar around the kitchen table. Like in Tennessee, they call it guitar pulls. Here we call them jams. And I learned to play basic guitar from my father, and I was about 5 years old and really loved guitars. And I think, like most guitarists, they say you learn to play guitar, you'll end up with a good wife sometime down the road. And so I learned to play guitar and took it to the next step and played my first live concert at a bar at 15 years old.
Wow.
Really a bar. Back then they called them hotels or taverns. And that was at a time where, men were on one side and ladies were on the other. It was kind of a time. So I did that, and it just evolved. And people would love back then, whether Merle Haggard or Waylon Jennings or Johnny Cash or Willie Nelson, they loved all those folks. That was the time frame. So I would do a lot of that music. And Paul, can you play some more Johnny Cash? Paul, can you play? I ended up playing more Johnny Cash than anything. So it just evolved to where we are today. And I'm 17 years doing this authentic tribute.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you a Cash fan, or you grew into it with all the different country flavors?
I was a country music fan. It become in my blood. Well, it become intrinsic because it's, you become what you learn. And growing up in a household of, 33s being played on the record player all the time, of all these which are now greats, icons, you know, maybe not so iconic then, but you know, you got to listen to these guys every single day, you know, every Friday night or every Saturday night party at home. And, you know, you'd wake up the next day to mom doing dishes or cleaning the house, and she'd be playing more country music. So it just become who you were. So Johnny Cash fan, sure. Willie Nelson fan for sure. A big James Taylor fan, but I would say a big music fan. I love blues, but I would say in my blood is country music for sure.
Where's your favorite place to play in all your years?
Oh, I would say in the bathroom because the acoustics.
How about yourself?
I would say
Great.
my most favorite place to play. I would say the Region is one of them. It's a beautiful venue. Of course, Saturday night in Hickman County, and one that stays deeply in my mind is doing the Hurt video at Johnny Cash's farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, have you had a lot of people say that the voice is close to Cash's? When I was hearing some of the music, I would hear you're up and you're down on your level, your octave levels, and you had that twang that Cash had. Have a lot of people said that to you?
Yeah, I get that a lot. And keep in mind, you know, we're not pretending to be John, but you know, I don't have a baritone voice, but I have a you know, a bass voice, or sometimes a bass plus, maybe into the tenor range. But you know, on some of that stuff, I may or may not sound like John, but that's not the intent. The intent is to give the closest interpretation of John's music, not just the lyric or the music, but the phrasing. And the phrasing is a big part of Johnny Cash's music.
Yes. And you grew up loving Cash. You mentioned Willie Nelson and somebody else I just forgot the most. Did the Cash obviously influence One Out? Was that you're enjoying it, of course, or the people enjoying it? So it was a match made in heaven. That's how I see it.
Well, for me, um, like John Prine, a great storyteller, Johnny Cash was a great storyteller, like Chris Christopherson. And when he told stories through lyric and music, um, I think that's what's you know, made his longevity what it is today. Is he was a he was a consummate storyteller, and I love that. And I love the stories of John's music. I love the stories of some of the stories of John's life. And you
Yes.
know, it's really important that you know when you're telling stories through music, and people people can gravitate to that, because a lot of those stories is it's kind of what people live on their own these days even. So for me, it's real. It's not going up there and you know using iTunes or you know pitch correction in today's music. It's about real life scenarios and real music, whether it was about trains or prisons or you know
Yeah.
he wrote it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Paul voice and that kind of stuff. Lots of people ask me on the show or our viewer mail, how does one as an artist prepare your voice or keep your voice? And you know, in aging, most artists lose their voice, but I found your voice was not only strong but no wavering on quality. So do you have a regiment schedule you do to keep your voice in check?
Yes, it's important that I have one beer before every show. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So for me, it's about lukewarm water and keeping the throat warm, keeping the vocal cords warm, and I don't do any voice practice, but I make sure a couple of hours before the show I don't do much talking. I really rest that.
Now, your show's coming up at the Regent September 12th, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're ready for that. What does the audience get? What do you promise to give to the audience other than the obvious? But tell us how maybe your show is a little bit different than the everyday concert. I feel there's storytelling, interesting history, where you blend the unity of Cash with the audience. Is that true?
It's very true. We try to educate, of course, not too much. People come to listen to the music, but we'll on a few important songs like whether it's Ring of Fire or Sunday Morning Coming Down from Chris Christopherson. These are some real important items like a San Quentin or Folsom Prison. Like these have great storylines to them, so we'll share some of that. From time to time, we'll have one of Johnny Cash's daughters or bandmates' children give us a call live on the telephone, and
Wow.
they can speak to the audience. So they're going to get more than they bargained for. They get storylines, they get music, they'll get some insights that they might not know. They'll learn about Johnny Cash's first wife and his 4 daughters. It's not all about Johnny and June. It was about Johnny and Vivian as well, and we'll share all that right stuff.
Interesting. If people want to continue your talk with me or just talking to you, tell us your social media ID so people can reach out.
You can find me, just look under Paul Anthony, Johnny Cash. It'll populate up there. And if you want to reach out to me, I do, what they call it, private message, or what do they call that? Messenger or something. I think Messenger.
Yeah.
And I will respond. I will talk to everyone. And if you want to contact me through a telephone number, you can do that through Scott as well. Of course, I won't give it out on the air, but you can reach out to Blackrose, and Scott can put you in contact with me, and I'd be happy to talk to you. And listen, if you've got a special event or you're going to bring your father who went to a couple of Johnny shows, and I want to know that. I want to know who they are. I want to know their favorite song, and I want to meet them. Come to the show. It's like that. Come to the show.
Very good. Well wrapped up. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate your time and your effort and beautiful stories. I can feel that Cash vibe there as a storyteller. Continue on to have great success. We'll have you back to the show for a tune-up, touch-up, and hopefully you'll have some new stories for us. I'm the BMD, our host on Rogers Television, Meet the Band Behind the Scenes, and we were blessed to have Johnny Cash tribute artist Paul Anthony with us today. If you have enjoyed yourself, don't forget to tell a friend and subscribe. Paul, we'll see you then.